Hey chat, you guys ready for this? Welcome. Yeah, William, I don't know. It sounds like you're doing something wrong. Hey, everybody. Okay, let's just get this thing started right away. Yeah, there's a storm brewing, a thunderstorm. I hope you guys did your homework, everybody. Let's just get it going right away. Malcolm Bendall. Guys, who the hell told us to find Malcolm Bendall? I hope you're ready for this, chat.
In Levy Print's...
Let me turn the sound up over here. Let's start with this. Hope you guys read your scientific paper for homework for last night. I really do. Why does my sound go to the max all the time? Okay. Yeah, disappearing act. I mean, I have one better. I'm in direct contact with Florence Changi. And basically everything we've uncovered is consistent with what she's uncovered for the most part. But you got to realize she's been doing it 10 years in the making, chat. I have not had time to read her whole book. It's a 500-page book, chat. And it's written kind of like in the first person, which is awesome. She's a better writer than I'll ever be, no doubt about that. I'm not a seasoned writer or a journalist. I'm just a citizen journalist. Okay, here we go, guys. Let's get started with the video here. Yeah, we're going hard today, everybody. So I was at dinner and I was reading over the paper that I told you guys to check out, the vortex fusion. Whoa, there is some similarities to what we are talking about, guys. I think that the Thunderstorm Generator might actually be the key, just like the video told us that we watched last night, just like the letter to Ashton. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to do you one better. We have a new intro that we're going to play for tonight only. Here we go.
Video, you can see the interference patterns created by the sound waves.
Pure geometry.
A new device called LeviPrint uses sound waves to levitate and manipulate objects for touch-free building.
Resonance frequencies, everything vibrates. Have you ever, like if we had an electric razor, we plugged it in, turned it on, set it on this table, it's going to move around, isn't it? You ever seen that?
Yeah.
That's the beginning of the concept because it's vibrating. Everything vibrates at a frequency, and if you know that frequency, you can control things.
LeviPrint is a system that can levitate, manipulate different objects to assemble complex pieces.
This is a generator that has no moving parts. It's all based on geometry.
Of course, these objects could be small spheres, but also droplets of glue, things that we can levitate, move, and rotate sticks.
The levitation is created by sound waves that have a frequency approximately double the highest frequency that we humans can hear.
Provide a new novel matter-to-energy and energy-to-matter propulsion device for water, land, air, and space travel.
you see Elon Musk's wonder. Is he essentially sending a shot off
Jimmy
the bow to
Corsetti.
people who he thinks are going after him, which is that I have knowledge of something, and a limitless energy device?
This may sound corny,
It does sound corny,
but love is the answer.
Chris Lehto is
it is
right.
the answer.
Where we are a spacefaring civilization and out there among the stars. This is very exciting. This makes me look forward to the future. This makes me want that future. You know, there need to be things that make you look forward to waking up in the morning. You wake up in the morning, you look forward to the day, look forward to the future. A future where we are a spacefaring civilization and out there among the stars, I think that's very exciting. There are some ideas about having space, like so you can only move at the speed of light through space, but if you can make space itself move, that's warping space. Space is capable of moving faster than the speed of light.
Right.
Like the universe in the Big Bang, the universe expanded at much more than the speed of light, by a lot.
Yeah.
But if this is possible, the amount of energy required to warp space is so gigantic, it boggles the mind.
Provide a new novel matter to energy and energy to matter propulsion device
Gray-bearded man.
for water, land, air, and space travel.
Wow. That's on Malcolm Bendel's
In Levy
Twitter.
Print's video, you can
Holy smokes, chat. Let's go. Holy boy. Let's go. Okay. Wow. Yeah, okay. I don't want to go full Chris Lehto here, but oh my goodness. Guys, starting to believe in sacred geometry. It's getting kind of weird. This is Malcolm Bendel, Thunderstorm Generator. Are you guys ready? It's going to get better. Okay. Did you do your homework, chat? Let's bring the chat out back over here. Let's figure this thing out, guys. I think it's time. I think it's time we figured it out. Yeah, Blurred Creatures was good. The podcast tonight got rescheduled because we had some audio issues. No big deal, though. I was wiped out. But now I'm looking at like, whoa. Have I looked at cymatics? Yes, I have. Okay. Guys, here we go. This is the article. This is a new, I guess you could say a science article. At the top of this article is the Nature paper that is Bob Grenier is the author on. Bob Grenier is the author on this Nature paper. The water can trigger nuclear reactions to produce energy in isotope gases. Okay, so we started talking about this a little bit, but there's some pretty huge things in this, okay? So this post delves into the phenomenon observed within a thunderstorm generator device based on the Rank-Hilsch vortex tube, which unexpectedly exhibited signs of potential nuclear transmutation and coherent matter phenomenon, guys. Coherent matter phenomenon. That's what we've been talking about. We've been talking about this related to the videos. It's going to get better, chat. It's going to get better. Even before I knew about any of this, I didn't know about any thunderstorm generators. I didn't know who Malcolm Bendall was or any of this. I'd already been talking about macroscopic quantum coherence. And I initially incorrectly thought it was decoherence, but it's actually coherence. The reason why I just posted the video is also this video right here. Macroscopic quantum coherence, macroscopic phase conjugation. There you go. This is it, right? This is the phenomenon. Is it possible that we can pull it off with other means using the basics, let's say, monostructure of potentially what the Thunderstorm Generator is based on? The Thunderstorm Generator is an engine, right? But what if you use this same concept, which guess what the concept is? Toroids. Every single time, toroids. Every single time. What if what they talk about in the video letter to us, when they talk about the monostructure and then the metastructure, what if they're just talking about the donuts, the toroidal donuts, right? And then they're talking about when you make a more complicated one for a different purpose is when you stack the fractal layers on top of each other. I can't stop thinking about that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I can't stop thinking about it. I'm going to skip to the end for you guys, where I'm going to kind of go through this a little briefly, right? So the main idea of this thunderstorm generator in this tube here is that you have concentric, I think concentric's the right word here, tubes. So you have a bubble, and then you have a bubble inside that bubble, right? And so you have the, let's say, atomized cold water spinning one direction, and then you have so you have basically the charges spinning opposite directions here, the hot gas and the cold, okay? And that this creates some type of plasmoid effect. Now, I'm speaking from the layman's perspective. It gets more complicated than this for sure. And you can see all these different images of how it works in general here. But basic idea here is it's producing these plasmoids, okay? So I'm going to read through some of these. The intake air path. Air is pulled through the pre-ionization chamber and exposed to 100 UV light, which ionizes the air with a positive charge. The chamber's materials and coatings could amplify this ionization process. The charged air is then pulled into the cavitation chamber. Cavitation, the bubbler. The plasmoid generator, the bubbler. Cavitation and plasmoid generation. The second chamber functions as a plasmoid generator through cavitation, producing bubbles around 5 microns in diameter in order to symmetrically collapse its crucial. Steel wool packed in the chamber for further ionization. Now, this right here on the right is where I think you're seeing the north and the south poles. So again, now we're talking about magnetism as well. And the plasmoid exotic vacuum objects are being created here in the middle of this, or it's creating this toroidal shape, right? Where if you think of the toroid, it's creating this donut type of shape. Now, the bubble dynamics. These bubbles, along with water vapor and dissolved gases from the water, are vacuumed to the top of the plasmoid chamber. Regular water contains dissolved gases such as approximately 79% nitrogen, 20% oxygen, 1% argon. This composition is where the plasmoids are generated. So it says the regular water, degassed water. The dissolved gases are extracted from the water by applying a vacuum, increasing the available energy per volume. A hydrogen-based gas is introduced to the water, further increasing the available energy per volume. Now, bubble implosion and plasmoid stabilization. You can see the sizes here. The plasmoid EVO withstands the bubble burst. So the bubble bursts, but the plasmoid is kept behind. Precise pressure mechanism. Precise inverse pressure applied to the chamber causes tiny ionized bubbles to implode symmetrically at a rate of about 7,000 bubbles per second. Small symmetrically collapsing bubbles are key to formation of the self-contained plasmoids. Geometric configuration. The implosion process aims to collapse the north and south poles of the bubble symmetrically, utilizing an equal amount of pressure. This action forms a toroidal donut-shaped geometry, resembling the infinity symbol. Excuse me. Which manifests a 0 point or gravity well that acts as the glue holding together the plasmoid. So I believe this is what they're talking about with this infinity symbol right here, like this, right? Now, magnetodielectric containment field. The toroidal shape uniquely creates its own electromagnetic containment field, forming a self-contained homeostatic system. Imploded microscopic bubbles reach a size of 10 to the minus 12 microns, so pretty small. So we're talking about the bubbles collapsing and cavitation. So when we're talking about that cavitation, we're talking about the same thing with these little punchy shrimp. When they push the water so hard, it can create heat. The same idea of when we have our sonoluminescence that we were looking at the other day. Sonoluminescence, sorry. So plasmoid functionality, catalyst and atomic battery. The plasmoid's function is both as a catalyst, allowing reactions to occur at lower temperatures, and an atomic battery, storing dissociated protons and electrons within its sphere of influence. This causes the transmutation of matter, observed by spectrometry, a new synthesized elements. So elements are being formed here, right? And this is what the paper that Bob Greenier has attached to the top basically proves, I believe. I'm starting to wonder if the letter was legit. It's kind of weird, guys. Or either someone was a super fan of both of us, they knew about this plasma generator stuff, and they knew about the case, or like, I don't know. I just don't know, man. It's getting weird. So then they have this generator tube, and wait till we get to the conclusions here, guys. So it says the plasmoids are vacuumed into the tube, moving in a clockwise vortex. Simultaneously, hot exhaust gases from the engine, consisting of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, enter in a counterclockwise spiral. So that's where you see this reaction chamber thing, I think, happening here. Now, this is where a little bit of the sacred geometry stuff comes into play, where, again, it's just a matter of ratios, right? So the spheres and tubes are based off the ratios of 4:3:2. So if you have an outer diameter of 24, the next one needs to be 18, and then the inside one needs to be 12, right? If you have 3 nested tubes. The plasmoids are vacuumed into the inner flow, moving in a clockwise vortex. Simultaneously, hot gases from the engine, consisting of both carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, enter in a counterclockwise spiral in the outer flow path. So you've got one moving in a clockwise, you've got the other moving in a counterclockwise spin. Or I'm going to do it like this, right? Inside and outside of one another. The Thunderstorm Generator cools the intake air by using the Rank-Hilsch vortex tube principle. We may have to look into this and try to figure this out tonight. As the air is cooled, its density increases. This is because the cooler air has molecules that are more closely packed together than the warmer air. So now this is the part where it's like you got to know your thermodynamics here to understand this. So as the air is cooled, density increases. Cooler air has molecules that are more closely packed together than warmer air. Okay, makes sense. Denser air are increased oxygen content. So denser air contains more oxygen molecules per unit of volume. This is beneficial for the combustion process in an internal combustion engine, as oxygen is a key reactant in the combustion of fuel. That makes sense. Thermal gradients, there's a significant temperature difference inside and outside the tube when running. The collision of opposing vortices initiates the fusion reaction, disassociating atomic bonds of carbon and allowing plasmoids to harvest energy. Now that basically sounds like magic. We're saying that we're able to create fusion reaction from this. Whoa. If this works and we're creating fusion reaction from this, holy crap, guys. This is just weird. Just all the connections between different people and all the small world that we're finding, but it's going to get a little bit better, guys. By ensuring more complete and efficient combustion, the Thunderstorm Generator significantly reduces emissions of pollutants such as nitrous oxide, I think that's what that is, carbon oxide, and unburnt hydrocarbons. So this is also basically creating a more efficient system where there's less exhaust. The system contributes to a cleaner combustion, although not eliminating emissions. Now, I've been talking to people behind the scenes. Obviously, you guys know I have connections now to some of these people. And the stuff that I'm hearing is that this basically can reduce the emissions to zero. It reduces it so much that it's essentially nothing, like 99%. Like, the claims are pretty bold. The operation of a thunderstorm generator adheres to principles of fluid dynamics, thermodynamics, and electrostatics. All the stuff that we've been thinking about. Now, in terms of the fluid dynamics and thermodynamics, it's a little bit new, but not really. It's important to note that the thunderstorm generator improves efficiency, but does not create or energy or eliminate the need for conventional fuel. But it does increase the efficiency to a point where it essentially is like magic. Now, let's look at the principles at play here. Okay? Vortex dynamics, the generation of controlled spherical vortex motion within a fluid or gas medium to create zones of varying pressure and temperature, analogous to atmospheric phenomenon observed in thunderstorms. In fluids, vortex motion can lead to significant changes in the local environment of particles or molecules within the fluid. So let's pull up. Where is my... Sorry, I'm looking for my DoD links. Did I get rid of the DoD links? I think I got rid of the DoD links, but we have this. So that's pretty close. I wanted to pull up the DoD fusion reaction, or DOE, I mean, Department of Energy. I guess I closed it. Anyway, because what I was going to point out here is that this is basically the equivalent of a fusion reactor in general, a toroid that's spinning with vortex dynamics. Pretty crazy. Thermal gradients, establishing sharp thermal gradients akin to those utilized in that Rank-Hilsch vortex tubes to induce rapid cooling and expansion, potentially leading to quantum effects like coherence and entanglement at temperatures above those typically associated with Bose-Einstein condensate. Bingo! Whoa, what? This is what? I'm going to read it again, chat. Potentially leading to quantum effects like coherence and entanglement at temperatures above those typically associated with Bose-Einstein condensate. You guys thinking what I'm thinking? Is that how they're making this happen? Implementing mechanisms for charge separation and electron stripping, which may contribute to creating macroscopic quantum states and could provide a pathway for examining particle entanglement and tunneling effects. This is what Bob Green was talking to us about. Not interested. Not interested. Standard theoretical physicist. Not interested. Just no. This isn't interesting, guys. No, I'm gonna go back to normal, basic, standard particle physics, guys. What? Nothing interesting about macroscopic quantum states and providing a pathway for examining particle entanglement and tunneling effects. Cavitation, utilizing cavitation processes generated through rapid changes in local pressure leads to the formation of vapor-filled cavities or bubbles. When these cavities collapse, they can generate extremely high temperatures and pressures locally, albeit for a very brief moment. High energy density states that may facilitate quantum tunneling or other non-classical particle behaviors. Just scale it up, chat. Scale it up. Booyah. That's it. The moment you start talking about macroscopic quantum states, quantum tunneling at the macroscopic level where you're able to create fusion and energy densities that are higher than the Schwinger limit, guys, that is Salvatore Pais. That's what Salvatore Pais was talking about, breaking the Schwinger limit. Energy densities that are at a local level high enough that can facilitate quantum tunneling. If your quantum states, if you have your energy densities high enough, you can break the fabric of space-time. That's what this is saying. There's a military paper that talks about this. Yeah, guys, I think we found the secret. And I have a feeling there's more than one way to accomplish this, right? Like, what we're looking at here now is there's at least one proven mechanism to achieve quantum states at the macroscopic level. This, I can't really overstate this. And now if you scale it up, who knows? Maybe there's other ways to do it here, but this is basically saying that we can achieve coherence. Superconductivity, I think, is simply a mechanism by which you achieve coherence. Dude, the scientists need to be looking at this, man. The Thunderstorm Generator might be tapping into complex interactions between fluid dynamics, thermodynamics, electrostatics, and quantum mechanics that are not fully understood or explored. Now, why is this important? Because the realities of engineering is, first, it's not a matter of following the theory. It's a matter of showing what is possible and then trying to explain it. The beauty of this is it doesn't matter what Malcolm's credentials are, right? He figured it out. However he figured it out doesn't matter. This reminds me of my physics class where I remember there was a thermodynamics question. I was able to get the answer right, but the teacher wouldn't give me full marks because I couldn't explain how I got there. But in this case, it doesn't matter. If you can prove that it works, then we can figure out how the math adds up, right? For instance, the dynamic conditions created by the setup may facilitate a quantum unique form of energy transfer or particle behavior. Complex systems and emergence. From the interactions of many individual components in the system, new properties and behaviors can emerge that are not predictable from the characteristics of the individual parts. Oh, look. It's Bob's YouTube. Magnetic anomaly. Here we can observe the outside of the Thunderstorm Generator being extremely magnetic. Oh, well, okay.
Hold it. Now I can lift this off here just. If I bring it here.
I didn't even see this.
So, there, I can lift it off.
Whoa, you can see the magnets. Whoa.
Now that's a dimple, and there's your high.
Yeah.
That's where this is impossible. This is perfectly deformed in completely symmetrical
Dude, he's
way,
figured it out.
which is impossible because it's imploded a sphere, which
No wonder
should
they're
be
trying to silence him.
Pretty strong.
Yeah, yes, but more than that,
Whoa.
where did the other material go to? Because now you've reduced the diameter.
Yeah.
Right.
You mean this wasn't a smooth curve to this
It was,
line here?
yes, it was a smooth curve.
So
Yeah.
it's
This is
suck
new.
that in. Right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's
got
an
sucked in. This used to
electromagnetic
be
force has bent that steel.
Bent the steel.
Pulling it off that moment there.
Look at that.
And you
Look, you can
can't
see
pull
it.
that.
Look at that.
I have not got the strength, even with my fingers underneath it, I cannot pull that off that thing.
Let me give it a go.
Holy shit, man.
I rest my case, Your Honour.
Oh no, I nearly got it. Oh my god.
Yes, darling. That's what they all say.
Whoa.
No, I can't do it.
Now, roll it up to here.
And take it to the
Yeah,
next.
take that here.
It's moved
Okay.
on two.
Yeah, we're posting that later. Holy crap, chat. The electrostatic field is so strong they can't even pull the ball bearing off of it.
Right, there's
Yeah.
1, 2.
Right, no, go, keep going.
I can get it off there.
Okay, yes.
Wow, that's the vortex generator right there. Wow. Holy crap. It's already been built. Apparently, it's actually pretty easy to build. I wonder if we hit up Jeremy, alien scientist, tell him to build this. Apparently, it's pretty easy to build. Like, you can just, like, get parts from, like, the pet store, and you can make this. Because they're creating... Guys, what have we learned about electrical engineering? Is that charged plasmas can create a magnetic field. And they're creating a magnetic field so strong that the ball bearing in the outside is sticking to it. So strong that the metal itself is warping. The steel is warping. That's how strong the magnetic field is from the Thunderstorm Generator. From just the vortex tube. Wow. It's so strong, and they're abusing, is that even the right word? Cavitation and the spinning opposite plasma charges. Holy crap. During the analysis, Bob Green observed something unexpected. The oxygen levels in the hot exhaust stream from the Thunderstorm Generator matched the fresh intake air. More intriguingly, whatever, you guys got it, hinted at the presence of new elements. This discovery suggests that something within the TSG might be doing more than just tweaking temperatures. It might be altering the very nature of the atoms. Whoa. That's too long. We're not going to watch that one. Okay, well, guys, I suggest you follow Malcolm Bendall on Twitter. Whoa. Okay, let's watch this.
Roof, just above the sample point that I showed, where it comes directly out of the engine, which is a Perkins 30,000 cc motor, driving a 300 kilowatt generator. So here is where the exhaust comes up and comes into the sphere, which is...
So the exhaust is coming up in here. So that's, I don't know if that's on the outside or the inside. We have to look here. Let's look at the graph. Here's the thing. So the water comes through here, and the exhaust comes out here. Okay, okay. So when he's pointing at the exhaust, you got to flip this upside down in your mind. The exhaust is pumping up. Okay.
It's actually a 24-inch sphere with an 18-inch sphere inside it, which directs the flow. In fact, we can come around probably the other side there later, and we'll show that directs the flow in an anti-clockwise direction. Because anti-clockwise.
So this is the reason why it's not going directly into it's going to the side is because it's going to direct the anti-clockwise flow, similar to what my mouse is doing right now.
Is how exploding energy goes. In the universe, there's no straight lines. Everything that moves is moving in a curve. Every curve's part of a spiral.
Everything's moving in a curve. That's true. Yeah, I need to talk to this guy.
And every spiral is either imploding or exploding. And so therefore...
Every spiral is either imploding or exploding. That's an interesting thought.
Or you have two distinct events. Is that you either have the life force, which is imploding and bringing everything together for life and planets to exist. And then you have the death force, which is designed to redistribute that. And you don't want to be redistributed while you're alive, obviously. And even if you're a planet, you don't want to be redistributed back into the galaxy.
Why am I all of a sudden super worried for Malcolm Bendall? Guys, all of a sudden, I think this guy needs to be protected.
So basically then the death force, death of destruction, is a spin that is exploding and tearing things apart. Now, when you counteroppose those two primal forces of the universe, you create a disruption which is going to create some unique geometry in your plasma that's developed if you have the right geometry and the right inputs. So basically, in this sphere...
I can tell just from listening to him that he understands it intuitively, even if he doesn't, like, he can't speak to it probably from the level of scientific papers, right? But he understands intuitively. He's like a theoretical engineer, right? As opposed to if you were to say like a theoretical physicist compared to like a mathematical physicist, he's like, and compare that to the engineer side, right? Where I would look at someone like Dave Rossi, right? And I would say he's more of the mathematical side, although he understands it theoretically as well. And this is why I think that people have been able to discredit Malcolm Bendall, right? Because this is why we have to be very careful when we talk about this stuff, about avoiding like the death forces and other forces. You just want counteracting forces, right? That's really what he's talking about.
We're forcing the air to spin in an anti-clockwise direction, which creates automatically on the inside sphere a clockwise direction. And one is coming into a vacuum of the engine and the other is leaving the engine. And in this connecting pipe, which is a 6-inch and a 4-inch, you have that same mechanism happening. We've got here is our transition, 51.84 degrees into this pipe, and that transition ensures that we don't lose the stored energy.
There's an episode of Fringe about this. Whoa. So, Randall Carlson was brought up on the weird video to me, and then Randall Carlson leads to this guy, Malcolm Bendall, who's just hanging out with Bob Grenier in some videos. Like, what? And George Howard knows everybody. He knows all of them. George Howard went with them to Joe Rogan. And I was talking to George Howard, and he's just blowing my mind. I don't want to talk too much about this because I'm actually worried about these people's safety. And, like, I don't even know. I feel like one of these things where, like, I shouldn't even be too close to Malcolm Bendall. Because I'm sitting here talking about teleporting airplanes and giant conspiracies, and this guy is, like, basically creating free energy devices. I mean, that's not technically what this is, but I think it has the capability to be one.
That from the plasmoids that have been developed in the bubbler and grown and charged, grown inside and charged within this thunderstorm generator. So you can think of it as lightning, that there's discharges between the positive side charge and the negative side charge. There's also, you can view this sphere as a net positive charge and the other sphere as being net negative charge. So therefore, there's a particle accelerator effect between the desire.
He's creating a particle accelerator effect. Holy shit, chat. Holy crap. This is what guys, I went on Alien Scientist and I said, I want to create a particle accelerator and shoot it through a toroidal magnetic field. That's what he's done. That's exactly what this is. Guys.
For everything to.
I'm trying not to freak out. This is so weird, man.
To.
I only now understand this from the science that we've been learning over the last few months.
Attract and the charges to equalize. Where you discharges between the positive side charge and the negative side charge. There's also, you can view this sphere as a net positive charge and the other sphere as being net negative charge. So therefore, there's a particle accelerator effect between the desire for everything to attract and the charges to equalize. Where they equalized, we postulate an event horizon that is like a mirror plane, that everything on one side, if it's positive, then on the other side will be negative and vice versa. So at that point, there is no movement because there's a zeroing out of the spin, because as I said, everything's spinning. It's either imploding or exploding. So an implosion is clockwise, explosion is anti-clockwise, and that is what I postulate as being a time on the exhaust side. It's an acceleration of time. On the inside, it's a reversal of time, and that has to meet at a point on an event horizon where those disparate progressions of time zero out the frequency so there can be no matter on that zero plane. And that's basically the theory under which this thunderstorm generator works. So
Thank you, Malcolm. What I've done here is I've added some encapsulated 400 ASA black and white film, and you can see the distance there is best part of 2 hands.
What's he talking about here? What is this? Is this looks like a phone thing.
There, so we can get that dimension, and then I've got one.
Oh, so we can see the size of it.
The tube.
I don't get it.
Man,
I feel uncomfortable standing this close to this thing.
Range radiation emissions at these distances. What kind of temperature are we expecting this to get to?
we'll have that on a thermal camera, but as I said, we've just changed this out. It did have a T-piece before we were losing a lot of heat. So I do expect around 400 degrees C here, 350 to 400 degrees C.
Okay, and down the other end here, what have you got down here?
So there's a second one. So this is where you're getting the two opposite charged forces, and this is what's causing them to attract one another. Oh yeah, that's where the camera's going to be? Okay, yeah.
So here we have the exit of the exhaust, and again you have a 24-inch sphere with an 18-inch sphere inside it to create the resonance on a 4-3-2 basis. The ratios 4-3 between the 24 and the 18. So this is all on sacred geometry and ratios, and I think that's part of what our society has lost. Has amnesia over the importance of angles and ratios in design.
Whoa. Well, that's pretty damn weird. We better save this somewhere. Okay, chat. I'll put this in chat if you want it. What is this? What the hell was that?
Yeah, so now...
Wow. Well. Okay. Thunderstorm Generator. Okay, that's pretty wild. Let's close this. That's pretty warm. Yeah, what's Revelations 14:3? Is that Alpha and Omega? And they sung as it were anew, a song before the throne, and before the four beasts and the elders, and no man can learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. Okay. Whew. Okay. Well, this is pretty wild. Let me see. Do I have this in my science? We better save this in my science section. Vortex fusion. TSG. I better write this out. Okay, guys. I don't know. I think we need to listen to part of the letter to me one more time. I'm going to post this in the chat room. I'm going to pin this. Real world creepy.
This is a submission sent to us the 8th of January of 2024. It's a letter to...
It does not matter if the object is a star, and as we do, we regret. As soon as we knew what plane was the last leg of their journey, we planned for a long burn. Right in front of their eyes, the Chinese official newspapers as after the show, the time, and at the same time could accept that the people they had convinced to deflect did what they wanted.
Twitter.
It was us that stopped them. The deflectors had a good, but with a new understanding, more than another Friday at the 1,500 million speculate our problem. The person responsible for the leak was identified and taken care of. Not by us, not our problem. Then came you. Hi, Ashton. Impressive. This is what I want to leave you with. There was a guest on the Joe Rogan podcast that was talking about sacred geometry and some new technology his friends had discovered on some island somewhere. He did record another episode, but it never been published. Doesn't the wording sacred geometry remind you of something? If you choose to spend time on this, which I think you should instead of mall aliens, keep in mind that your case is one product of the technology. What happens on the other island, you will understand this if you pursue it, is another more rudimentary product. What if those in combination could lead you on the right path to the actual technology? The gray-bearded man is the key.
Hi, my name's Bob Green, and I'm a volunteer with Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project.
Finally, I want to say
this is Hutchison effect, magneto-toro electrogravitic field.
Scared the hell out of me. Okay, sorry about that. Oh my God.
Finally, I want to say this. How do you defeat someone who can turn skyscrapers to dust? completely erase whole neighborhoods in an afternoon and steal a burning Boeing 777 midair. Someone who, when needed, has the complete control of all media and crafts the perception of events and has most of humanity eating from its hands. After almost a full life in their service, I think I know the answer. You talk about them, and you don't stop talking.
Yeah, well, that's pretty damn weird, chat. It's pretty damn weird, chat. Yeah, so you're actually asking where Malcolm Bendel's island is. Apparently it's somewhere in the Maldives. Can you believe that? Can you actually believe that Malcolm Bendel has actually been somewhere in the Maldives for 7 years hiding? The letter's even talking about it. There's only two options, right? Whoever came up with that letter is some kind of super stalker fan of both of us. Or it's some kind of psyop or something, or it's just real. I don't know. Could that letter really be real? Oh, man. I don't know. This is from the Department of Energy that we're looking at right here. Fusion power. Using a toroidal shape. Very similar. A little bit different, not completely spherical out here. It's not using the dual like inserts here, but you've got this magnetic field that's being produced around the charged spinning matter here, I believe it is, plasma. And I think there's more than one way to create coherent matter waves, but I think that's one of them. Here's the paper that was referenced in this here at the top. Water can trigger nuclear reactions to produce energy in isotope gases. Now this makes a lot more sense. Let's read this again. This paper reports the discovery that water can trigger a particular nuclear reaction and produce energy. Cavitation may induce unusual reactions through implosion of water vapor bubbles. Many of this research has been published formally or informally. We have conducted experiments using 2 reactor types made from multiple pipe heater exchanger and found that the heat exchange process of water produces particular excess heat and abnormally high pressure, leading to the rupture of the reactor. He's talking about the Thunderstorm Generator. How did I not piece this together before? Recently, we have tested another 8 reactors. Interestingly, these reactors produce non-condensable gas. We suspect that they include neon and carbon dioxide. We used a mass spectrometer, MS, to analyze 14 gas samples collected from 8 reactors, including 10 samples showing a coefficient of performance, COP, greater than 1.05 with excess heat. Does that mean it's producing more energy than it's taking in? And 4 having COP less than 1.05 without excess heat. I think that's what it means. Several methods were adopted to identify the gas content. So it's producing fusion. It's producing fusion power. For CO2 identification, 2 methods are employed. For neon 22, I think that's what it is, identification, 3 methods are employed. All the results confirm that isotope, neon, and regular CO2 really exist in the output gas from the reactors determined to have excess heat. We conjecture a possible mechanism to produce neon and CO2 and find out that carbon and isotope oxygen, that's neon's just 22, I get it. Although I guess oxygen's with 1 extra electron or something like that, are intermediate. They finally form isotope gases containing oxygen, including HO217, heavy oxygen water, isotope O2, and isotope CO2 in the excess heat producing reactors. All of these gases were detected by mass spectrometry in absence of, it's neon 20, neon 21, and neon 22, okay. The observed isotope gases produced from the reactors have excess heat, verifies that water can trigger a particular nuclear reaction and produce energy. Whoa. Okay, what do you guys... Greenier calls it the monopole. Think about that as the center of the whirlpool. Yeah, I want to see Greenier's unreleased podcast. You got an ad with Creepy Dan's voice on my YouTube channel? That's pretty damn weird. What would the wording of sacred geometry remind you of? It reminds me of a plasmoid, of a toroid. That's what it reminds me of. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what it is. Pretty sure that's what it is. Now, I do think it's possible that MH370 was annihilated, but I still think it's more likely that there's a fourth orb that teleports the plane. What we're looking at is something much more advanced than what we see from the plasmoids that Malcolm Bendall puts out there. This is much, much more advanced, but it's potentially the same concept. The monopole, we need to understand the monopole here. When we look at these orbs here, what exactly are we seeing right here? Why is the heat signature like this? If we look at the Thunderstorm Generator, are we going to see a heat signature like this? The heat signature is the key right here. I think this is why they leaked it. The heat signature. How could anyone have faked this? This science predates, this is 2014. The science on display here predates known science even in 2024. Like we're not even to this point yet understanding what we're seeing here. We could never even understood this before now, I don't think. The papers that we're reading here came out in the middle of this investigation. Any other thoughts, guys? Okay, should we look at the conclusions of this? So I think this is mostly like the spectrometer and the pipe here, mass spectrometry, concentric pipes, the buckling they're seeing, similar stuff talking about the thunder. This is just the Thunderstorm Generator, I think, basically. Yeah. Very similar. Multi-stage resonator. It's basically the pipes that have the 432 geometry, right? Yeah, sick puppy. I think the next clue is we figure out the heat signature. We need to understand the heat signature. Fractal toroids, right? That's what Malcolm or what Bob says. Maybe we really have to go back to Bob's graphs to really understand it. The flat top of the tornado becomes a point. Haven't quite figured it out. You point the tail where you want to go. I think William intuitively understands it as well. The orbs pointed them into a cone that opened up a bubble. Yeah. That's similar. That's what Bob basically showed us. The shape of the heat signature is a half torus. Is it? I guess. Not sure. The Alchemical Science channel. What particular part of the channel do we want to look at? I need a better visualization of the heat signatures being produced. Where's the conclusion? Let's read this conclusion. Cavitation may induce implosion of water vapor bubbles using various techniques. In the previous study, we found that the heat exchange process in multiple pipe heat exchanger produces anomalous excess heat and nuclear transmutation. Recently, we have tested another 8 reactors and found they also produce non-condensable gas. We suspected that neon and CO2 may exist and is from nuclear reactions of water. 14 gas samples were collected from 8 reactors to perform mass spectrometry carefully using various methods. 2 different methods used for identification of CO2 were employed, while 3 different methods were employed for neon. All the results confirm that neon and CO2 do exist in gas samples from reactors having excess heat. In answering the question how neon-22 and CO2 is produced in water, we conjecture a possible mechanism and find out that carbon and isotope oxygen may be the intermediate. They possibly produce some other isotope compounds and gas from reactors having excess heat. Using isotope ratio analysis, we found out that they are, okay, and this is the isotopes. We also find that the reactions are the most probable reactions whose output gas contents coincide with our observations. Detected CO2 and isotopes neon, although the detailed mechanism is not known. This needs further basic research. Since the chances of getting all the present conclusion is so remote, particularly the presence of neon without neon 20 or 21, this work may lead to a new research topic in nuclear science and energy technology if true. John Hutchinson. Yeah, guys, I don't really have a ton of time to be listening to like multi-hour podcasts. I think I've been pretty clear, but if you can send me clips and stuff that you want me to listen to, that helps a lot. I work 8 hours a day, and then I do podcasts, and then I jump on and do streams with you guys, so there really is not a lot of excess time for stuff. I spent a few hours last night going over my emails. It's very time consuming. What was the person who was sending me the channel Alchemical Science? Let's take a look at that. Let's close this. Let's see if there's anything interesting on the Alchemical Science YouTube channel. Which one do you think he's talking about? Alchemical. Ooh. Plasmoid power. How long is this? 18 minutes. Introduction to plasmoid ball relating to thunderstorms. This is relevant. This is very, very relevant. Yeah, okay. This dude's on it. Is this the guy? I mean, this could be the guy that made the videos. If someone is obsessed with the MH370 stuff. Alien Maths and Physics. Deciphering the Plasmoid Unification Model, Part 1. How long is this? 17 minutes? Carbon emissions solved. Whoa. This dude's way ahead of us.
Welcome to Alchemical Science.
Let's listen to this a little bit. Mythology. Oh, look, wow.
This star in a jar is made when a sound wave is passed through a small bubble inside a flask of liquid. And this sound wave makes the bubble do something remarkable. First it expands, then it collapses. And this collapse happens so violently that vapor molecules trapped inside the bubble slam together.
Like a miniature sun for these reactions is a transient source. Get the input of the plasmoid generator to the output of the engine's exhaust, and the output of the generator back into the carburetor of the engine. Then the pistons of the engine act like precise measuring cups, applying equal forces of pressure and vacuum cyclically at high speeds within the chambers of the Thunderstorm Generator. So during the vacuum phase, air is pulled through the first chamber, where it's ionized by a UV light bulb with a wavelength of 100.
So the UV light bulbs, what's ionizing it?
Nanometers. And this pre-ionization with the UV light induces a positive charge in the air gases.
So that's how you get the positive charge, huh? Interesting. Yeah, I see it, guys. We're not going to dig. I'm not going to go too much into sacred geometry. This is stellar rotators. That does interest me.
Now also,
it's kind of like drinking through the fire hose right now. There's just too much information, right? Yeah, I see the chart back here. Oh, yeah, so you got the plasmoid over here, which is the same from... Wait, is this the guy that made the... This has to be the same guy, right? Is he the guy that made the link that we were just reading? Has to be. Right? Has to be. If it's not, like, what the hell? It's got to be this. Is this the same guy? No, it's a different guy. Wow. Oops. Okay. Doesn't matter. Let's see. So, and yes, I see the chart up here, guys. I mean, come on.
Which then acts as the glue which holds the plasmoid together, using Malcolm's words there. So this toroidal is a self-contained field. And so this is really just
why does everybody have a New Zealand accent?
Employing precise geometry here to make all of this happen. So now that we have our tiny plasmoids, we can use them to facilitate the transmutation or reconstruction of matter by passing it through their 0 point where there is no frequency. So to dismantle the matter to pure energy and then store it in the plasmoid using its self-generated magnetodielectric containment field. So when the water vapors pass through the 0 point or the dielectric portal of the plasmoid, it causes the separation of hydrogen and oxygen from the water, but it also simultaneously causes the atomic disintegration of hydrogen and oxygen into their...
Plasmoids cause the separation of the hydrogen and the oxygen. Plasmoid absorbs all the protons and electrons within its immediate sphere of influence. Okay. Plasmoid's fully charged state has a diameter of 100 microns. That's pretty big. Plasmoid causes disintegration of hydrogen and oxygen into their component parts. Yeah.
Their component parts. So it'll also rip apart the bonds of the dissolved gases which were contained in the bubbles. So nitrogen is one of the strongest chemical bonds, and the powerful energy release from the disintegration of water gases will all be absorbed by the plasmoid. The plasmoid in its original size of 10 to the power of minus 12 microns absorbs the energy or the free protons and electrons from the dissociated hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen and other gases when in its...
Yeah, this is pretty complex science that we're dealing with here. Takes a lot to kind of understand it. This is why we're not going to dig too much into the sacred geometry aspect. We just need to understand how it works from an intuitive perspective.
Sphere of influence, and it grows to 100 microns in size, so around...
Okay, so this is why it's growing. So when the cavitation bubble pops, the plasmoid here grows.
The size of a point of your hair. So the MSARD plasmoids are both a catalyst and an atomic battery. And being a catalyst, the plasmoids will allow reactions to happen at much lower temperatures than usual, which is how this is all occurring and how the next steps are going to be occurring too. And a couple last notes on...
So this is why the reactions happen at lower temperatures than like what we'd see in the sun.
In the plasmoid generation chamber, Malcolm suggests that efficiency can be further improved by altering the properties of the water. So a designer gas can be added to the water to fundamentally change the properties of the water. And if...
So designer, they say designer gas? Interesting.
If you remove the cover gases, the nitrogen and the argon, then water could burn, the same as our atmosphere would without nitrogen. So if the cover gases are removed and hydrogen is also added, this can increase the available energy per volume in the water. And ideally the water should be at pH 9 too, which can just be achieved by using chemical alteration or a negative charge. So then the plasmoids and any...
So you want a pH of 9, which is a base pH in the water. Interesting. Okay.
Remaining water gases are pulled through into the next chamber during the following vacuum cycle of the pistons. A thermocouple placed at the outlet of the plasmoid generation chamber measures the temperature of this generated stream of plasma and gas to be at a very low temperature, around minus 84 degrees Celsius. And the water remains in its gas phase here, even at the low temperature of minus 84 Celsius, just because it's under a vacuum. Alright, so then the next chamber is the Thunderbolt Generator reaction tube itself, and the tube's designed to be at a certain resonant specification, made either from stainless steel or ideally tungsten, Malcolm says. And
so tungsten or stainless steel, huh? This is probably the hardest thing to make, right? You got to make this bubble inside this other bubble.
Must be 144 inches.
And I think these pipes here are going to be like a pipe inside of a pipe, and it's got to be at the right ratios, right?
Or an exact octave of this in length. And he says tungsten's a better choice here, just because of the way it distributes heat or energy applied to its surface very uniformly throughout the body of the metal. So the plasmoids are vacuumed in from the previous chamber, and they proceed up the tube in a clockwise vortex. Meanwhile, at the other end, the hot exhaust gas is released from the engine in the form of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, and it's sent in a counterclockwise spiral into a sphere, which is sized to be optimal for the output of the engine it's being retrofitted to. And due to the geometry of the Thunderbolt generator, although the exhaust gases might only be a few hundred degrees when they exit the exhaust, the outside of the sphere of the Thunderstorm generator, while it's operating, has been measured at about 750 to about 1500 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, so it's pretty warm on the outside. Okay, interesting. Skip ahead a little bit.
Like with our hydrogen and the other gases in the earlier phase, the atomic bonds of the carbon are disassociated. The plasmoid itself then harvests and stores what energy it can, and the remaining free protons collect and reconstruct as oxygen and hydrogen. And so oxygen increases in temperature in a vacuum, and hydrogen drops in temperature. So in the next vacuum impulse of the pistons, the warming, expanding stream of oxygen and any other unreacted remains, which there aren't much, it's primarily oxygen, they're ejected out of the Thunderbolt generators, the Thunderstorm generator's exhaust, while the colder stream of hydrogen and the charged plasmoids are pulled through the carburetor and into the engine. And so when this is all drawn into the combustion chamber, the plasmoids are ignited along with the fuel by the positively charged plasma from the engine's spark plug, which instigates an instant discharge of the plasmoid in a plasma burst. And
so that's how the engine works then, right? So you get your plasmoid and you send the plasmoid into the engine, into the combustion chamber, and then that's what's now making the system more efficient, right? So you don't need as much fuel anymore, right? This is pretty wild.
The plasmoid discharging its
so this does seem like a rudimentary approach to something that we're seeing on a larger scale.
Energy to be utilized as fuel reduces again in size back to 10 to the power of minus 12 microns in size from its 100 micron charged state. And from the stories I've heard so far from other researchers and inventors who've been able to trial the Thunderbolt generator retrofit in person, these discharged plasmoids don't disappear either. They just continue to do their thing. So reportedly the engine will continue to run with reduced carbon emissions and increased fuel efficiency even when the plasmoid Thunderbolt generator is removed. So it's pretty bizarre and pretty cool.
It's pretty weird.
And I'll verify the claims about that personally in a couple weeks when I get to see the unit in action.
Okay, last thing for tonight. Let's take a look at this bookmark. Guys, I think I'm going to watch this too real quick.
What do you know? That you're a musician. But that's why I'm interviewing you today, so I can get to know you.
So I'm a musician.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck that mean? Make magic or something? What is musician?
I think you're confusing that.
Yeah, I'm not no musician. I make music. I make music. And that's not all I do. I make music, I act. I'm a TV star too, a young mogul.
Just really quick, I think
I'm a TV star too. I'm a young mogul. Guys, I just want everybody to know I'm not a musician. Just heads up.
I think you're confusing.
I'm not confusing nothing because you don't know. You thought that all I was a magician or whatever the
You thought all I was a magician.
What you said.
See, that's what I think you think I said. No, I said musician, not magician.
I don't think, baby. I don't think. What is that? That's ghetto. I don't.
What? I don't think. I don't think, baby. What is that? That's ghetto.
Think. I know.
I don't think. I know.
So you
think.
I didn't say.
I like how she looks aside. Think. She's talking about thinking over here.
Magician, Suki. I said musician. And I think.
I don't think. I know.
You are a musician.
No, baby, I do music.
So you, just really quick, for the record, could you say you don't think you're a musician?
I'm not none of that.
But then after that, you just said, I do music.
Yeah, I do music.
So, in other words, you're a musician.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
What do you know?
How is that real, chat? I watched this like 20 times yesterday. I think I was just sitting there thinking the TikTok generation is doomed. Just straight up. I don't even know who these people are. Guys, I don't even know who these people are, but we definitely live in idiocracy. I'm starting to wonder if it's even a good idea to reveal this technology. Between this and all the videos of people on their like bizarro glasses, like I don't know if I can take this world anymore, chat. I really don't know. I don't know if I have any connection to this world anymore. Okay, let's see. Best science live stream in history. Intrigue. Is this recent? 10 days ago. This is recent.
Where physics is powerless, and this
I need Bob to
for instance, this
summarize
is
it up
exposed
for us
by
a little bit.
In it were the notion of current is real with this hydrodynamic shear. Remember what I said in
hydrodynamic shear
of the source system 2.
I might have to look through this on my own time here.
Went rogue. They had that they'd, for me, the absolute boom.
I'm probably gonna watch this later tonight. Okay, here you guys go if you want this. Yeah, but geez, man, that one was that TikTok is just. Hey, Bernie. Now, Bernie, I'm starting to understand when you were doing your chemical experiment why it might be important. Everybody who's in there, make sure you check out Crypto Alchemist. He's a good guy. One of the young scientists of our generation. Yeah, the only problem with Bob's videos is they're very long. Then again, so are my my streams. Jordan on the Thunderstorm Generator. Are any of these short?
It seems like we can finally take transmutation of the...
Is this the same dude? Yeah.
...elements off the scientific bucket list I've used here. Let's start at the maybe up to 4 the proposed process. Bob emphasized calcium-40 and helium-4, co-located and reminiscent phenomena that can be discussed earlier, and so that in some cases...
Very interesting. Okay. What else does he have on here? Jeremiah 1 and 2.
The pressures that are needed. We've then got another tube, which inside has a UV light. Apparently, you can use the same UV light bulb that you can buy at a pet store for like reptiles. And what that's going to do is ionize the water, and then the water will go into the flux capacitor, i.e. the bubbler. It will be filtered through. It will so it looks like an apple, where in the similar way that apples pull in at either end of the core.
Here you go, William. This is for you.
Now, at the south pole of it, you can see a kind of like skirt shape. It's wearing like a kind of angel dress. So at the top of the lemon, it's sucking in the matter, and at the bottom of the lemon, it's shooting out the matter. And you can see a little excrement of matter coming out of this diagram. What's crazy is if we zoom in even more, you can see that there are even smaller donuts inside this main ring of donut.
Yeah, so you can have a donut inside of a donut, right? And the donut inside of the donut, this is the part where I struggle with trying to understand it.
It is literally a spinning wheel within a wheel within a wheel. Where have we heard that before?
Wheel within a wheel within a wheel. So this is spinning that way, then this is spinning that way.
Was this what the Bible was trying to explain when it recorded Ezekiel's wheel within a wheel within a wheel? Look at the shape of this toroidal movement.
Isn't that a gyroscope? Wheel within a wheel within a wheel? Feels pretty similar. Used for measuring or maintaining or orientation and angular velocity. Seems relevant.
What does it look like to you? It is literally the spitting image of the Egyptian Ankh, This one here, this particular Ankh plate, is from the first dynasty, from very, very early on in the dynastic Egypt, literally like 3000 BC. You can see it all through the Coptic Christianity with the Coptic Christian cross. Not only that, you can see it in Thor's hammer. The Viking hammer pendants that we have is
some of this is dangerous for reasons other than oil interests.
Take a look at the modern Tesla logo. Again, literally the same dynamic. Now, with the right elements and forces coming into play, this toroidal movement is scalable. It can happen at tiny, tiny, tiny micron sizes. It can also happen at a huge scale. Like, we're talking whack an aeroplane in the middle of that.
Sorry, what, chat? What did she just say? What? Let's just go back a second.
Dynamic. Now, with the right elements and forces coming into play, this toroidal movement is scalable. It can happen at tiny, tiny, tiny micron sizes. It can also happen at a huge scale. Like, we're talking whack an aeroplane in the middle of that lemon scale, or even bigger. There is a theory, and I'm not going to get into it now, about how the plan of the entire Great Pyramid literally fits to scale exactly what you would need for the positions of a toroidal movement inside the Great Pyramid, including exactly where you would pull matter from the space and like where you would deposit it. And 10 points to guess where it would be deposited in the Great Pyramid. Yep, you
that
guessed
airplane
it.
thing
It
was
is in fact
pretty
in
weird.
The granite box in the King's Chamber.
Is she following us?
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Here we've got a little clip of Bob Greenyer, who is demonstrating on this little machine thing here. When the wheel spins a certain way, which is vertically, you don't move in the center. When you flip the wheel on its side, suddenly a huge amount of power locks into this rotationary pull. I'm not even sure what's happening.
Yeah,
but this is a really good visual of what is going on. Plasmoids are also responsible for ball lightning. But in a nutshell, ball lightning is a phenomenon that has been...
Wow. Cute too. That's a double win. Wow. Okay. This is interesting, guys. I was there for most of this.
Carrying cart, and you can see it being lowered down. The clean room.
What is this?
Top of the clean room, the building rather, is in view, and that SRC is coming down to the ground. Slowly being lowered.
I have no idea how this is relevant.
Has been carefully planned out, very slow. The team is there, ready to begin actually getting the SRC unwrapped and the sample return capsule to the clean room. A couple more lifts here, you see, and they're going to remove that last layer of thermal blanketing.
What is
placing
this?
I got my look at here. This is how far I am. This is sort of a coincidence because
a couple weeks ago
I'm here. I'm halfway through your
Robert
book.
Temple over here,
and then George, and I'm recommending it to people, and then George calls me, or I get a text from him yesterday and says, "What, you want to join me and Robert Temple on a Zoom meeting tomorrow?" And this is the first time that I've ever been invited to join an author on a Zoom meeting, while I'm just coincidentally happen to be reading in the effectiveness of it. But what's really extraordinary to me, though, is what happened with the oxygen, because 20.97, as George well knows, I mean, this...
talking about the oxygen. There's the generator. Right? This is exactly the generator we were looking at.
Capacity for optical technology. And there wasn't a single person in the world at that time, as I started looking into this in the late 60s.
Okay, well, we're not going to go through all that tonight, chat. I think we're probably going to call it there. This is a pretty interesting science stream tonight. We dug into some plasmoid stuff. I think that we had some pretty big moments here in terms of check out the paper that I linked, the Medium paper. I think I'm going to make a post on it tomorrow. On Twitter. We're going to post some science tomorrow. Yeah, Robert Temple is... I'm probably supposed to know who he is. There's a lot of stuff there, guys. So you can check this out too if you want. I'll post this link. You can check my replies. I bookmarked this. Definitely feels like there's something important here going on. They're basically, I think, just power. They've plugged in the Thunderstorm generator to the grid, I think. I'm not 100% sure. And they're just letting it run. Wow. Okay, chat, this was a good stream tonight. Thanks, everybody, for jumping on. I'm going to keep it kind of short tonight. This is good. We will check back in tomorrow, see how we're going, and do some more science stuff. Probably dig into some more basics of electrical engineering. I think I need to understand the basics a little bit more, but this seemed like a pretty big find here in general, guys. This was good. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.